there can only be one ghost. I disagree. I think there's a lot of ghosts.
So that's Joseph Sikora confirming that he thinks there can be a lot of different ghosts. And throughout the first 5 episodes, Mecca has shown us that he's someone who's very much ghost-like, just a different version, because of course, there will only ever be one OG, and that's James St. Patrick. But that doesn't necessarily mean we won't see others with similar traits, with how smooth they move, and the power plays and chess moves they make. And another one to look out for in Power Book 4 Force is Diamond. But in this video, we're going to run through the similarities to Ghost and Mecca. Now we're also going to have a look at Mecca and how he's the master at concealing his intentions, and how he's managed to manipulate Monet, Kane, and the chess moves that he's made even with his own soldiers, which was done in a way to control Kane. Now there are some exceptions to this law of power, and we'll go through how his tactics and game that he's playing will eventually backfire and lead to his downfall as well. So we're going to run through a full character analysis of Mecca, so stick with this video till the end. But let's run through why so many people liken Mecca's smooth moves to Ghost. Now, we all know Ghost used to live this double life, one where not many people could associate James St. Patrick as Ghost. He was that good. And Mecca adopted a similar approach. He has a street name which is Mecca, and he also goes by the name of Dante Spears. And not many people know him as Mecca. And even though Tariq found out that the Connect's name is Mecca, even though he gave the name to Monet, she didn't know who he was, because she only knows him as Dante Spears. It's a very similar situation to what we saw play out with Ghost and Angela, and how she only knew Jamie, not Ghost. Of course, it was a huge shock to her system when she eventually did find out, where the tables then turned and she was playing the game with Ghost. And I wonder if the same is going to happen with Monet when she finds out, because this is really Monet's weakness at this moment in time. Now he also speaks Spanish. It was very short and brief, but we had it in episode 3, similar to Ghost because he learned Spanish from Angela when they were young. Both Ghost and Mecca, they're also strong, battle trained and tested, and know how to fight. Of course Mecca does because he's ex-military, but with Ghost he's grown up in the streets, and there's no better experience than in the streets themselves, where you're forced to learn and protect yourself at all times. But Mecca's relationship with Monet and Ghost's relationship with Angela is the biggest similarity between the two. They both lost their childhood loves when they were young, but both rekindled their relationships years later, and in very similar fashion, both wooing them about their past life and selling them this dream. With Angela and Ghost, it was this fantasy world in Miami, and with Mecca and Monet, it was in the helicopter, also playing their favorite love songs as well. But both relationships are based on lies and a double life that the women have no idea about. Ghost was just this club owner, and Mecca is just this businessman who has an international importing and exporting business. But one key difference is Mecca playing a bigger game? I definitely think so, because when we were first introduced to him, he was asking questions to Kane, which he already knew the answers to, because as we found out, he was ex-military, which was revealed in a conversation with Nuff and Kane in episode 3, which means he would have done all his due diligence and background checks on everyone. So bear that in mind when we come to talking about Monet and Tariq later on in this video. So Mecca spent some time out in Kuwait, and all those around him are people who he served with. That includes the chef and Nuff, and probably more who were at his penthouse suite. Another similarity to Ghost, by the way, with how they both have penthouse suites high up, because you can see enemies coming when you're high up, and when you're high, you're always away from the streets, which is something Symphony taught Raquel in Raising Canaan. Now, before we get into each of his chess moves that he's made, let's have a look at one of the 48 laws of power, which Mecca has shown us he's a master of. Law 3, Conceal Your Intentions. Now with this law, we see great manipulators and leaders using red herrings to throw people off. They use smokescreen tactics to conceal their true intentions, and they also hide their intentions by talking about their goals, whether it be fake or real. And with this law, you can kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You appear friendly, open, and trusting, and by concealing your intentions, you send whoever you have wrapped around your finger on a meaningless mission and down the wrong road. Now with Monet, he used this law to get into her head, where she really wasn't thinking straight, sending the car which played their favorite love song, sending the signal that they used to use when they were kids. And then he also showed her a new world, this fantasy world that she could live with Mecca, and she really lost sense of reality. Kind of similar to what Ghost sold Angela with having clubs in Miami. We knew it was never gonna happen, because Ghost could never leave this double life behind him without constantly looking over his shoulder. But by hiding his true intentions, he's given Monet what she wants, giving her a life whether it be fake or real. And she's really had no choice but to lean on Mecca, because she had a real rebellion on her hands with her kids. And Mecca also cleverly used Kane to get rid of Monet's only means of business, which was Tariq, which of course would have Monet lean on Mecca even more. So with that being said, let's talk about his manipulation of Kane and how he's using the tactic of killing 3 birds with 1 stone by appearing friendly, open and trusting. We saw Mecca open the doors to his home, inviting Kane to Nuff's birthday party and introduce him to his people. But he also did this because he wanted Kane to open up to him. He gave him what you call a noble gesture, because they create good feelings all around. Mecca wanted Kane to believe that he was genuine and missed the fact that a noble gesture conceals someone's true intentions. So notice how every conversation seems like Mecca wants to know more and more, because he doesn't want to just get control over the Tarders, he wants to get control over Tariq, Brayden, and mold Kane into a version of someone he wants, someone that will be useful to him and his organization. Just look at the way he made Kane open up to him and indirectly tell him that Tariq and him were responsible for Ramirez's death, and at the same time, getting information on what Tariq is capable of as well. Now, he also used a smokescreen move, which was such a smooth move by Mecca, and this was used when Kane told him that he needed to make a move for his cousin. He told him to rob Mahoney's men, and whatever he makes over 50k, he can slide over to his cousin to pay for Davis McLean. But he used this information to pay the full $1 million to McLean. It was smooth, it was calculated, and his intentions were completely concealed from Kane, and it made Monet fall right in his direction. But not only does he have the Tarders on lock at the moment, he has the chef playing a position, and he also did have Nuff as a soldier too. Notice how he asked the chef to put his headphones in when he was about to deal with Lil Guap's nonsense that he's still not learned from the first season. He didn't want Kane knowing what the chef is capable of doing until he wanted to. He made Kane believe the chef was just a chef. But we all saw what he was capable of when he sliced Nuff's throat, and this is because Mecca isn't afraid to kill his own men and get rid of people like Nuff, because Mecca has a much bigger plan, and Nuff would have put his bigger plan in danger because of his big mouth. Now, these 2 moments where he choked Nuff out and had him killed weren't just because of his big mouth, but they were done in front of Kane as a form of a power play to show what happens if you cross the line. Mecca knew full well that Tariq was the one who was outside, because are you trying to tell me a man like Mecca, who's ex-military, who has done all his background checks, wouldn't have seen the CCTV? He definitely would have seen the CCTV, and he would have known that Kane was lying. The chef also knew, and look how Kane looked, he was shocked. Mecca warned him to be aware of his surroundings, and Nuff paid the price because of this. But again, this is Mecca concealing his true intentions for his bigger plan, a plan which involves controlling Monet and a whole family. And every single one of Mecca's moves that he's been making and has made so far has been played perfectly throughout the first half of this season. But things don't always go to plan, and this is where we're going to talk about the exception to Law 3 and how this could also lead to his demise. And Law 3 is really a catch-22. The more success you have with it, the harder it is to continue concealing your intentions, because Kane will slowly start to catch on that Mecca's noble gestures isn't exactly a gesture. Monet will realize that Mecca's been lying about who he is this entire time, and when Kane also finds out about Mecca's real play and who he really is, which is Zeke's father, Mecca's game will be up, or will he have everything in place to win anyway? Only time will tell. Another huge problem for Mecca is both Lorenzo and Mahoney, because Lorenzo was never a part of Mecca's chess moves, and Mahoney is someone who's also been trying to move into Mecca's territory. And you must have all heard the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's an ancient saying, and in this case, I'm suggesting Lorenzo and Mahoney could come together and work against a common enemy, which is Mecca. And this is a move which I don't think he'd see coming. But it won't be easy to bring someone like Mecca down, because neither were Milan, Felipe Lobos, or Jason Michich. It's gonna require precision, being 3 moves ahead, having multiple people play their positions, and being able to counter the counter move, because I'm sure Mecca has a lot more moves up his sleeve, and only time will tell what will happen with his character. But as with all bad guys, they have to go in the end in power. So drop all your comments down below and let me know what you make of Mecca's character so far, and how he's been able to conceal his intentions so well over the first half of the season. Drop all your thoughts down below, and of course if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.